All right, so this is your first checkpoint for CIT 93. And I realized today, and this is actually Monday the 18th, that I should have done this last week and I didn't. So I'm going to give you a little more time, but just know going forward, you will have a checkpoint after each code along that just this does that. It checks you for your understanding of the concepts covered. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how this thing works. This is going to be an AI driven review that will end up submitting into Canvas as part of your grade the chat session itself. Okay, I take all the code that we wrote and I have it come up with questions and code challenges, and you'll see those in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and click into here. And so in here, the first thing I want you to notice, and if you've been in my other classes and you've seen my reviews, this is the same program. We are actively working on it. And when I say we, this is an active development project with Rick Gomez and myself based on a grant, which is awesome. We've been able to play with this and I've had really good feedback. It's not perfect, but for the most part, I believe students have had good experiences, which I hope you do as well. So the first thing you'll notice is there's a normal, what you're used to is getting started. On these assignments, and this will change this semester because we're implementing a new version, you won't click here. What you'll do is click here to start, okay? So let's just go over a couple of key pieces. So you're going to have 5 concept questions and then you'll have 5 coding challenges, okay? To receive credit, you have to complete the entire, that should say checkpoint, my bad, and click submit assignment. So you have to go all the way through it. Okay, if you don't get to the end, then you don't get credit for it. Okay, multiple attempts. You can take this, it should say checkpoint, more than once. However, be aware that new attempts are logged each time you begin. Okay, I actually get a report, and so when I'm reviewing or I'm grading this, because I do grade these, the system, the AI doesn't grade them, I do. And if you've done, attempts that aren't, because I can see it submitted, you'll see me reach out to you and ask you if there's something that happened, because the idea is that take it multiple times if you feel like, oh, you know what, I now know that answer. Device, don't take this on a mobile device. And it's only because of the the refresh on a mobile doesn't lend itself well to this app, because as soon as you refresh, it has to start over. Okay. If the question is invisible, try to scroll up, and I'll try to show you that here. It's a bug we're fixing. And then time limit. So from the time you start, you have 50 minutes until the session times out. So I believe these are very doable within that time frame. Okay, so you will click here to start. Now for me, I actually have to leave the student view to get this to work because of the way the canvas is set up. So the first thing you'll do here is actually you'll get, matter of fact, it didn't do it because I was in here a minute ago, but you will get a screen saying you have to authorize, and you do have to authorize, because what we do is we take your credential authorization from Canvas and we bring it over to this app, which is aicanvas.chat, that again has been built by Rick with, of course, myself. And actually, Brianna is helping us now, our tutor. Okay, so once you get past those 2 checkpoints, then you'll get in here. And now this content is a repeat of what you had here. Now, by the time you see it, there'll also be a video, so it will show up as well. One thing is to check this sign. If for some reason this says sign in, that means for whatever reason you may have gotten here but didn't start. That means you actually need to close this and start again. So you actually haven't started yet. You're just at the front page. So make sure this is signed. If it says signed out, that means you're already signed in. If it says signed in, that means you're not, and you'll need to make sure that it says signed out because it's gotten your credentials. And we need that because we end up submitting into Canvas as an assignment. So what you will do here, and notice how only the start is clickable, okay? Meaning it's an AREF, something you'll learn about in this class. So now Q1 through 5 are questions, C1 through C5 are code challenges, and then you get to the end and the feedback. And then when you get all the way into the last one, then you're going to actually see another one that says submit assignment. And that's what I mean by it actually has to be submitted for you to get credit, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click start. And so it'll say, okay, great, we're going to do the checkpoint Q1. All right, so now please click on Q1 and I'll present you with the first question. Okay, so now the first question, right, is this. And so in this case, do your best to answer this question down in the prompt. And then when you answer something, and you can say, I don't know, but of course you wouldn't because, you don't get points for I don't know, but it'll actually give you a little information. Oh, yeah, okay, almost, right? But actually, it shouldn't even say almost, right? This is something the prompt we're working on, but it says the keyword constant. When would you want one versus the other? Okay, so then you could try it again, right? Look at we actually covered this during the 2.1, right? Then once, by the way, if you click here, right, when you submit, this is not going to show an answer for this one. So make sure you answer this one before you move on to Q2. Okay, now I'm going to pause for a minute and I'm going to move all the way through these to get to the end. But these you can interact with the AI. It may not give you the answer, but it'll help try to lead you there. It does have what we call a somewhat adaptive. I want it to be more adaptive. I'm working on that. But again, these are checkpoints to see how well you got it. So I'm going to pause for a minute and get to the end. Okay, so I got all the way to the end. I wanted to show you if for some reason you don't see them, because I think I actually might have fixed the CSS here, but this will, if you scroll up, this will take you back to the bottom, right? So you can see that. But if for some reason you also can't see this, then go ahead and just use this or use your scroll, because we have a text box that allows scroll. Okay, so once you write this last one, right, then you'll get the fifth one, right? And again, this is where you actually do the work to go through and do your best to see if you can write code here. Remember, and in this case, I shouldn't say remember, it's the first time. You just can write one. You actually could write more than one line. You could do Control Shift, but typically all of these are just one line, so it should be fine. So now you're going to get to the feedback part, right? So in this case, right, all right, some reviews, right? So in this case, what you would want to do, and it'll give you some just general feedback. Okay, I'm actually working on this feedback. I may just drop it next time. But now you get the submit. So now you're actually to the end. And if you don't get this and see what you're about to see on mine, it actually doesn't get submitted, right? So you got to get all the way through the submit the assignment. And then what will happen here is you'll get this toast and this, there are toast messages, we call them. And then once you get that, then it logs you out. Okay, so that's therefore the timing issue. So there's a couple things we're working on that we're going to put a timer on this so you can see how long it's out there. But I just want you to know what happens here now is in Canvas, what happens is this gets submitted. And so the way that you know you did this correctly is that you will see this checkpoint, right? And then you will see that log of what happened, okay? So if you don't see this, that means something happened and you didn't complete it. So make sure you do complete it. Like I said, do it multiple times if you want, because what I do is I look at how well you do. So, take it a couple times if you need to. Okay, so these will change every time. Matter of fact, now I'm going to work on 2.2 and try to have this out way before that, because like I told you, I should have had this out already, because actually a couple of you have already submitted this, which is awesome. I hope this helps you do this, and I appreciate your patience as you're working on a product that is in active development, which is part of what you're learning in this class. So anyway, talk to you later.